Okay, we're talking about functions, domain, and range, and then interpreting graphs. So this is where we are in our bootcamp packet. Coming to the next page. I want to figure out what the independent quantity is going to be for this first question. A print shop charges a fixed amount per photocopy and gives a 10% discount off the total cost of photocopies. The total cost is a function of the number of photocopies made. What is the independent quantity in this situation? Man, there are a lot of hints in this problem. The independent quantity is always next to the word per, each, every, and a when they talk about money or however much it costs, or each item is going to cost. For instance, he's going to charge a certain amount per photocopy. That's the independent quantity right there, photocopy. The question is it how much it costs, or is it the amount, the number of photocopies you would have? So that's what we have to figure out next. And they throw you off by putting money in there, like 10% in discounts. That's never the independent. It always describes what's going to happen to the independent. So that's automatically wrong. So you can come down here, and since we're talking about independent, anything that's talking about price, wrong. Total cost, no. Total cost is going to be the final result. The final result is dependent. So it's either C or D. Now, this sentence right here is huge because I don't know if you realize it, but that sentence says that y equals f of x. And how do I know? The total cost, that's the dependent. That's y, because dependent is y. So y is, that means equal, function of, that's f of x, the number of photocopies made, D. Now, if what I said didn't make sense and you cannot identify with that, this is the other thing you could have done. When you're talking about an independent quantity, you're talking about that one thing or those items that you want to buy or spend money on. You're talking about that one thing or those items that you are going to, that have been assigned a certain price. Like, if I say I wanted to buy a number of shoes and they all cost $30 each. Well, what I'm talking about paying $30 for are my shoes. So the number of shoes would be independent. Or let's change it up. What if I say I'm going to give everybody in the classroom $20? So each student is going to get $20. Well, who am I assigning the $20 to? The student. So that's the independent quantity. If I said there are 50 calculators per school. What am I talking about is in each school? The 50 calculators. So the number of schools is going to be independent because the 50 calculators is in each school. See that word each? Each student is going to get $20. Each shoe is going to cost $30. Every shoe, I'm going to pay $30 per shoe, $30 a shoe, $30 every shoe. So whenever you see those words, each, per, every, and a, they indicate that you're talking about the independent quantity. And you have to read it though. You can't just look for those words. You have to actually read it in context. So the next one says a teacher will determine the total number of books to order for a class during the function using the function b of n equals 4n, where n represents the number of students. So it told us that n is the number of students. What is the independent quantity? Well, b of n equals fn. Well, that used to say f of x equals fx. So what is in the x box? Because independent implies x. That's one thing you can look at. Also, in this problem, what are we talking about? The teacher will determine the total number of books to order for a class. The total number of books to order for the class. And n represents the number of students. So, before I can do anything, I got to figure out how many students I'm going to have, right? And it just told you that N is the number of students and N is in the X box. So the number of students is either going to be F or H, because G says books. We're not sure if it's not there. So let's read F. The number of students in the class. Isn't that what it says? The number of books each student needs? No, it tells us what N is. An online music service lets customers download an unlimited number of songs for 25 cents each after paying a monthly fee, membership fee of $5. So we already know that 25 cents has the word each next to it, but that's not going to be the independent variable. It's not going to be X. It's describing X. So what is 25 cents talking about? The unlimited number of songs that can be downloaded by the customer. Okay, so that's what 25 and the each are talking about, this number of songs. The monthly fee, that's a one-time fee. It's $5. That's the y-intercept. This one was the slope. What does the variable x represent in this function? So x is going to be right here next to the word each and the 25 cents. The number of songs. So the total amount of money? No. The number of songs the customer downloads each month? Sounds like that's the answer. The number of customers? No. The cost? No. It's G. Now we talk about domain and range. So on my domain and range, I know that my domain has to be jail cell bars. So they look like this. And they're vertical lines because jail cell bars stand up this way. And the doors, when they shut, they slide to the right, or to the left. That describes domain because domain is x values, domain is talking about x values, and x values cross the x-axis. So the only way to cross the x-axis is to have a vertical line. That vertical line tells me where the graph stops and starts. So this is the first jail cell bar, this is the second jail cell bar, and I see that it starts at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5, and it ends at 3. So the domain would be -5 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 3. I have to put a line under it, so less than or equal to, because this is closed. And I love what we had tutoring yesterday, and Ms. Gregg was tutoring a student and told them about when you are taking a test and you're bubbling the answers. How do you let the testers know what answer you choose? Well, you say I'm going to choose B because that's the answer I want to include. So you bubble it in. So in other words, if I want to include that number that the dot is at, I need to make sure that it's darkened, just like you do on a bubble sheet. So when it's included, like you bubble here and it's colored in here, you write a line under it. Okay, so then we do the range. The range is talking about y values. And how do I know? Well, range has to cross the y-axis like ladder steps. So this is my ladder, and it moves up and down. So whenever we talk about range, you're looking at the y-axis. Just as when we're talking about domain, you're looking at the x-axis. So I see that it stops here at 3, and it starts way down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, at -4. And so those are my ladder steps, and they go all the way up to 3. So the range is -4 less than y, because we're talking about range, less than or equal to y, which is less than or equal to 3. And again, you need the line under it because it is colored in. So now we want to find the domain of this one. It's a little different. Do you notice that it has an arrow on it, so it only stops or starts here. It never stops that way. It keeps going. So when I talk about the jail cell bars, which side can I draw? And hopefully you said this one and only that one. So this is the only one we can draw. If I put this one over here, this arrow is going to go right through it. So this is -3 and it starts. at -3. But I can't draw this line. It's kind of like standing in front of Incredible Hulk, like, I got you. You can't go past me. He'll just thump you and move you out the way. That's what the arrow is doing. It's thumping that line out of the way, like, you better move. So we know that we can't put that line there because of the arrow. It's approaching infinity. -3 is where it starts, and I see when I look at the x-axis that the numbers are getting smaller. So that means my gesso bars are moving to the left in order to cover the graph, not to the right. That doesn't make sense. The graph's not over there. So since the numbers, I said -3. I'm so sorry. It is 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. I apologize. That should be +3, and that's moving to the left. And so that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and going on and going on and going on. Lines past here, meaning 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3, -4. So the numbers are getting smaller, in other words. So less than would be here. And I must stop this video because I see someone's at the door, probably here for tutoring for boot camp. And I will talk with you guys on the next video, starting here at this question, talking about the range.